again, everyone, and welcome back as we have another conversation with a Discoverer alum. And it is always such a great opportunity for us to share these stories with all of you who share that common thread of having spent time in the halls of Columbus High School. I'm Casey Balitz. I am from the class of 1986, and today we're talking with Lindsey Ward Larsen from the class of 2002. Lindsey, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Excuse me. Excited to share this story today, Lindsey. It's to me seems like a great example of taking something that might have been a challenge or a negative and really turning it into something that's I'm sure making a difference in people's lives, for your own family, but certainly for lots and lots of others as well. So we'll get to that in a minute, but let's just start with a quick update on you since graduation day in Columbus. Tell us a little about your journey since then and where you are now.
Okay. Well, from Columbus, I went on to study at Creighton and got my doctorate in occupational therapy. Married my high school sweetheart, and he commissioned into the military. So we've been moving around the country for almost 17 years now.
Wow.
We're in Colorado Springs currently. But we've been to Georgia, Kansas, Virginia, Kentucky. We've been all over and enjoyed moving around, but it's a lot. And we have two girls now, a 12-year-old daughter, Madeline, and a 9-year-old daughter, Charlotte.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I know, again, one of the things that we want to make sure we've got time to talk about today is the journey that led you to writing a book. So would you kind of take us through that story, and then we'll talk more specifically about the book that you've authored. But yeah, tell us about that journey that led you to that decision to write the book that you've written.
Okay. Well, yeah, my firstborn, Madeline, shortly after birth had a massive stroke. And with that came a lot of medical conditions and permanent disabilities that we've been working through. And with my background as an OT, I didn't know as a mother I was going to be taking on that challenge, but I felt very confident in being able to take on that challenge. And we have homeschooled. I kind of became her personal therapist, and we've just been moving around the country and continuing to, persevere and work on everything she needs to become the person who she is today. And during that journey, we've just experienced a lot of different things. Everywhere we went, one of the things I kept noticing was that even though there's an awareness of disabilities out there, we haven't gotten to that point of true acceptance and inclusion. And we're starting to hear that word more, which is great. Inclusion. And that's fantastic. But from my own personal experiences of being out in the world with my daughter, both of my daughters, but specifically my daughter with disabilities, we noticed that there was still a lot of, honestly, parents that were nervous, parents or caregivers, grandparents, not knowing how to come up and interact with us. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with this book, showing children from a young age that asking questions about disabilities is okay. That's how children learn about the whole world, is by asking questions. And never once would I ever be offended when a child comes to ask a question. And lots of times my other daughter will step in and explain the situation too, if I'm further away and don't get there in time. Kids have this amazing ability to listen, understand, and accept and move forward within a matter of seconds. And it's a beautiful thing. And I just think we should be encouraging that, because I think those children will then grow up always knowing that we should be always looking for that person that needs to be included, and we should always be aware of disabilities, especially hidden disabilities, and not assuming that people are, maybe they didn't learn that in school. That might not be the case. There might be a reason behind something. that you're noticing with either a behavior or their abilities. And we should always be thinking of that first. We should be thinking, hey, how can I help? Or there's something going on here. We shouldn't be jumping to conclusions about, well, did they not learn that in school? Which I hear people say that all the time. And I'm like, there might be something else going on here. There's so many hidden disabilities. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with the book, is start with the kids, but the message is also to the parents or the caregivers or grandparents, whoever is teachers, reading this book to their children.
Yeah. It is interesting, isn't it, that generally kids are so much more open and accepting, and somehow we kind of lose that as we grow. I'm not sure why that is.
Right. I completely agree.
Yeah. So tell us about the book, the title, and tell us a little about the story that you lay out there.
It's Meeting Exceptional Friends, and it is written at a level for ages 3 to 8. But there's discussion questions in the back that really can apply to any child. This is always a good conversation to have, and to have multiple times. And it's a very simple story that shows several different characters, and they have disabilities. Friends on a playground walk up and talk to each other. They have some questions about, like, for instance, why Madeline is wearing earmuffs, or why another child is using a device to speak. And they simply answer the questions, and then they go on to play together. And the pictures are showing them, finding ways to play together, which is so important because there are so many ways, and kids are so creative too. And I just don't want kids to lose that. It's like, it's amazing the way that kids are like, well, we can figure out how to make this work. Let's do it this way. It'll be a whole new game. And it's amazing and beautiful. And I think the more that kids practice that, they're going to grow up into those creative individuals that are thinking outside the box of how can we make this better? How can we make this work? So I think it all starts at that child level. So there's discussion questions in the back too. And then I also put created some resources on my website, which the book gives information about that too. And I hope to keep adding some things. So if teachers just want to get on and pull off a resource, of course, for different ages, there's different resources to bring this conversation to life beyond just the book, doing some activities, doing some discussion.
Awesome. What a great story. And I love hearing that there's resources available that can be used beyond reading the book or in addition to reading the book. That's really cool. How about the process of getting published? Was that a challenge for you? And how has that gone in terms of the response that the book has gotten?
Well, if in this day and age, what's beautiful is anybody who wants to publish a book can publish a book. That is amazing. So I just went ahead and went with that route. I was like, I'm going to do this myself. I know what I want in the book, so I found an illustrator on my own and I, do not have art skills. So she, luckily, with my pencil drawings and taking and cutting and pasting her illustrations around to show her how I wanted things to be, and the images I wanted to show, she was able to help me with that. But it's amazing now with the way that you can access freelance workers. You can find everything that you need out there. And from the comfort of your home, I was able to do this while still homeschooling the girls. And, it's amazing. You can find all the resources out there if you're willing to spend the time and look for them and do your homework. So,
Yeah. So, when you go that route, where do people find the book? How do we know where to go look if we want to order a copy?
yeah, well, right now it's online on major bookstores like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart. There's a whole bunch of others, Books A Million, indie books, things like that. Libraries, I'm hoping I can eventually get into, but that's gonna be another learning experience for me. So I can let you know how that goes, or if somebody's curious and in the process, and come back to me in 6 months or a year and find out how that goes. because I'm working on that. I'm working on more of the local bookstores right now, and I'm getting into the school districts here. So I'm going to get in front of the students and get the message out there. I'm not too worried about sales. I really just want the message out there. But however I can do that, I've started an Instagram account to help bring in other parents. I feel like parents with children with special needs are definitely going to be in my corner here to push this message out to the world. So um, I've started an Instagram account that kind of shows our educational journey, working with a child with special needs, and how we're able to homeschool, and how we do what we do in our day to encourage other people to do whatever works best for them and their family.
Yeah. I'm curious, as you know, it's gotten out into the world and people read the book, and I'm sure you have some interaction, either maybe in person if you're out doing a presentation, or just after someone's read the book. What are you hearing in terms of the reactions or the themes, maybe after people experience this story?
Right now, everything has been so positive, which is so it was very reassuring. I did, before I went ahead and published, I did send the manuscript out to teachers, school counselors, pretty much everybody I knew, saying, is this okay? Because I really feel that this needs to be out there. And everybody that came back was like, you need to do this. This needs to be out there. So, and that has continued to be the response. I mean, I'm waiting to hear somebody that has a different opinion, but so far everybody thinks that this message should be out there. Teachers are saying, I'm buying this book and I'm reading it to my kids in class. Even adults are saying, my own husband said, I learned something from your book. So, that's great. Adults are learning from the book as well. So, I think that's fabulous. We're learning together, and we're taking, I think, steps forward that I'm surprised hadn't been taken in the time that since I was a child to now. I'm like, I can't believe that I never have seen this book, but this hasn't been out there. So, or maybe, it was, but it just didn't get the publicity it needed or something like that. So, hopefully I'll just keep pushing, and we can get the message out there in whatever way we can.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing we should say, as we sit here today, it's only been released for a month.
Hmm.
So not, we're just at the starting point here.
Right, right.
Well, I am curious, in light of our audience here and our shared heritage as discoverers, how you might tie that back to the experience that you had. I mean, obviously, growing up in the Columbus Public Schools, you clearly have had experiences with kids with disabilities here, just as everywhere else. And so, I kind of wonder how that resonates with the message that you are now trying to share. So, as you think about that journey, how did your time at Columbus High and either what you learned in class, or as with many of us, what you learn outside of class, how did that help prepare you for this really extraordinary journey you've been on since then?
Well, I think I was given a lot of great opportunities in Columbus. One of the things that this isn't so much related to my book, but kind of my direction of life, with becoming an occupational therapist, my goal was always to be working with and helping people with disabilities or medical conditions. And then OT is kind of also like a piece of being an educator as well. So, so I feel like in that community, I know in high school I was allowed to go around and shadow on my own time different businesses, and I think for all the people in Columbus that are a part of a business, that or a hospital, healthcare setting, wherever, if you can open up your doors to allow students to come in and really get an idea of the jobs that are out there, and I feel like that was very important to me. And then I was lucky enough that in Columbus High School, I don't know if it's still going on or something similar, but I was allowed to do a mentorship program. And I was able to go into the occupational therapy clinic several times a week for a semester. And I learned so much. And I left Columbus High with a direction, and I ended up wanting to stay on that journey and become an OT after what I had seen there in Columbus. So I think, if everybody can just really think of any ways that they can allow students to see what they do, see what's out there. And then there is a side note to that. Just know that things can change in life, and you might have to learn how to be resilient and adapt and completely change whatever it was that you were going to do. And that's okay too. And I think there's plenty of opportunities just in life and, even in sports and everything, to learn resilience and, get back out there, try something different. This didn't work. And I'm sure I had plenty of those experiences in Columbus and at Columbus High School. So, because that's a piece of life that kind of hits you in the face eventually when you
Yeah.
become an adult and head out into the world.
I think we all learned that lesson.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I think, Lindsey, you would be actually very pleased with a really robust collaboration between Columbus Community Hospital and the Columbus Public Schools today, and really are exposing a lot of current Columbus High students to those same opportunities that sounds like you were given, which is
That's great. It meant so much. It
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
I don't even think I would have known what occupational therapy was if
right.
I didn't have those experiences.
Are there teachers that stand out to you in your memory?
The teachers I always go back to thinking about are the ones who I just knew enjoyed their job and wanted to be there. I said, I told my husband, who ended up being a history major, how much I hated history. I cannot remember dates of anything. But yet Gordon Steinbrook was one of my favorite teachers because he enjoyed teaching, and you could just read it all over him. It was fun sitting in his class. And I wasn't even part of the band, but Larry Rathbun, I was in the color guard for the 4 years, and he gave me a lot of leadership opportunities that I really appreciated. We didn't have any sort of coach or anything, so it was on us to set practices and learn what we needed to learn. And he gave me a lot of those leadership opportunities that I think ended up helping me in life. Even though I wasn't a part of the band officially,
Yeah,
he made a strong impact on my life. So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Is there a particular memory that stands out to you from your high school years?
I was thinking about that. There was always so much going on, so many activities to be a part of. I just enjoyed my time in general at, Columbus High School, and being a part of all the activities, be it all day at a wrestling meet, band trips, everything. We just always we had fun. And I can't think of a particular memory, but I have a lot of great memories from Columbus High.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have obviously had a journey that wasn't what you planned on graduation day, and that, as we said a minute ago, that happens to almost all of us. So
Right.
maybe in that light, or whatever, what would you share with current students at Columbus High? The senior class that's getting ready to make those decisions here in a few months and head out on their own. Would you have a piece of advice that you would share with the current discoverers?
Hmm. I guess I'd say don't rule anything out. If you would have asked me in high school, do you think you'd ever write a children's book? I'd be like, I can't write. No one's ever told me I'm good at writing. And quite frankly, I don't think I am a good writer. But I think anybody can develop skills. So don't rule anything out. Don't think that just because you're good at science, you have to go in one direction. You're good at, math or language arts, whatever, keep an open mind. There's so many things out there, and I see so many people now that I know that we're in our 30s going on 40s, and people have branched out beyond what their original job or career path was. People are doing a lot more of multiple jobs at once. I have friends that are I'm part coach, part teacher, part digital designer. There's
Mm.
just people are kind of branching out, and so I just think if you start with an open mind. Of course, we all need some direction to take us where we're going, but be open to change. And when something presents itself, that don't be afraid to give it a try and keep learning, because there's so much out there, and we can always adjust our path as needed.
No, that's such great stuff, Lindsay. Flexibility and resilience, two of the words that you've used here in our time together, critical components in today's world, that's for sure. So that's good stuff. Well, it really has been a pleasure getting to know you for a little while, Lindsay, and sharing this story with others in the Discover alumni family, and we really are appreciative of your willingness to do that. Very much wish you the best with the book as the rollout continues. Again, only a month or so after release as we sit here today, so there's certainly lots more to come, and lots more people all around the country who are going to be influenced by what you have put out into the universe in that book. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for the time today. Really, really do appreciate the opportunity you've given us to share this with Columbus High alums.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Our time today with Lindsey Ward Larsen, a mom, an occupational therapist, a homeschool teacher, and now an author. Great insight for all of us to take out of this time today. Glad you've been able to join us. Hope you'll join us next time when we spend a few more minutes with another distinguished alumni of Columbus High School.